Alright guys, welcome back. I am back. So let's see, last time we were trying to fix this animation because it looks terrible right now. So yeah, let's see what it looks like right now. Probably not gonna look very good. Yeah, it looks, for some reason, it has that weird delay, which we don't want. So we're gonna need to look up how that works. So let's see how somebody else does this. So how does this guy do this?
We want to start crouching. Again, we want to remove exit time and duration. And we'll also create a transition back. This is if we are not crouching, so if crouching is false. And our speed is currently less than 0.01. And remove exit time and the duration. And I'm actually getting a warning here. And this happens sometimes when you set the transition duration to 0. It's pretty annoying.
So let's take
You just try and select one. Create your own color. Let's hit create new clip. Again, we want to make sure we do this if we run animation. And we do this using what is called a transition. So if we change when and how we want it to occur. So the first thing that we need here is to add a condition, because we don't want our... In other words, if we start moving, well then we want to transition to a run animation. We also want to go in here and make sure that this transition is immediate. In other words, we don't want something called exit time, where we wait for the animation to stop playing before we start playing a new one. No, we simply want to transition as soon as we start moving. So I'm simply going to disable that. Let's also go under settings, and here we can choose the duration of our transition. This is not something that you often use when creating 2D games, but it's used all the time to blend between animations in 3D games. But for us, again, we want this to be completely immediate, so we'll go in and set the transition duration to 0. Of course, we also want to be able to transition back from our run animation. Currently, we will only be able to go from our... Go in and set the transition duration to 0. Then go and change the speed, say set it to 1. Our character starts running, and as soon as I set it back to 0, he goes right back to idle, making our character move. And the second one is a much simpler player movement script.
So let's see if that works or not. So 0 is what we want to change into. So let's get the player here. Let's go to the animator. Oops, let's get out of there. What I wanted to do was click here. 0 is what we want. Okay. So at least it's doing something. It's immediate, but it doesn't even play. So in a way, this is kind of bad. So we don't really want this. No, it's still not trying to. It's not doing what it wanted to do. As you can see, it's still not interrupt. It's kind of weird. So we need to see what else it does.
Where we simply tell the player when to move and at what speed. So let's go ahead and open. As soon as I set it back to 0, he goes right back to idling. So now all we need to do is of our transition. This is not something that you often use when creating 2D games, but it's used all the time to blend between animations in 3D games. But for us, again, we want this to be completely immediate, so we'll go in and set the transition duration to 0. Of course, we also want to be able to transition back from our run animation. Currently, we will only be able to go from our idle to run, and then even though we stop moving, it will still play our run animation. So we'll go in here and right click and make a new transition. This one is going to go to idle. Let's select our transition and add a new condition. This time we only want to transition if the speed is less than, and then we'll again add a tiny number here. So he goes right back to idling. So now all we need to do is change this speed parameter through our script to reference it. So common animation. But as we add more clips, that would be able to jump whenever we're going to the right, and it will actually be negative whenever we're moving to the left. And we want our speed variable to jump. And of course, we still need to go in here and specify a condition. Otherwise, we're just going to be jumping all the time. And for this condition, we need a new parameter. So let's hit the plus sign, and this we want to set the transition duration to 0. Of course, we also want to be able to transition back from jumping, so let's go ahead and create a transition to play in the case that, again, we are not jumping, so is jumping is false. And the speed is currently greater than 0.0. We can see that we currently get some input for whether or not we want to jump, really giving, so we'll go animator. It's currently set to can transition to self. So what's currently happening is that whenever we're jumping, it's actually just transitioning to jump over and over and over again. And so it's stuck on the very first part of that animation. If we remove that, it will only transition to jump once and then play the jump animation. And then as soon as it's done, it will either go idling or running. So if we play the game with that change, we can see that our jump animation works perfectly. And the final thing that we want to go in here and add is the crouch animation. So let's drag this to the side up here. And first we want to be able to crouch from idling. So we'll add a transition to crouch here. Let's select it and let's add a condition. But first we need a new parameter. So we'll go in here and create a boolean called isCrouching. If we are into Unity and hit play. In Unity, we can see that when we started creating animations for our player, we will only want to transition to a run. So if we go into the update function where we get our movement, we can actually go in here and write animator dot set and comma, and then we can give, and so we could go in out of the way, and let's take our jump. We are currently not jump that has a giving all player controller input. There's no place in our code where we have anything about actually landing again. To get around this, I've gone ahead or running. We always go in and set the transition duration to 0. Go under the animator, we can see animation. And if we select this transition, we can change when and how we want it to occur. So the first thing that we need here is to add a condition, because we don't want our transition or we stop moving right back to idling. So now all we need to do is change this speed parameter to see that the component is here. And so if we go into the update function where we get our movement, we can actually go in here and write animator dot set float, and then we give it the name of the float that we want to set. Remember the variable right here. So we'll simply write this and go into Unity and hit play. We can see that as soon as we start the right horizontal move and close it off with a semicolon.
I don't understand how he's moving left and how the sprite is changing from left to right, given that he only has one clip.
Tell the player when to move and at what speed. So let's go ahead and open. I'll save this.
Nowhere in this clip is it saying he's flipping that axis flipping the sprite. So that's what's getting me confused about.
And go into Unity, we can see that we have this empty animator field. And this is where we can drag in our animator. Notice that this has a capital A positive. So to change that, we can go in and use a handy little function called mathf.abs for absolute. So this is going to take the value and make sure that give it the name actually reference this speed parameter through our script. And that is actually fairly easy. At what speed? So actually referencing the controller. We also want to go in here and make sure that this transition is immediate. In other words, we don't want something called exit time, where we wait for the animation to stop playing before we start playing a new one. No, we simply want to transition as soon as we start moving. So I'm simply going to disable that. Let's also go under where we can drag in our animation sprites. Of course, the great thing about our character here is that, but if I go ahead and of course added our 4 animation clips from the green end. We then right click on our idle and hit make transition. And we now get this arrow that we can drag out to the to just play right away. We only want it to play in the case that we're actually moving. But currently our animator has no, so we'll call it disable that. Transition. This is not something that you often use when creating 2D games. And of course, if you want to download any of this, I will have a link for that. Press delete in order to and drag them in. Says 2 different animations. However, I think that's just overcomplicating things. Instead, I'm just going to go in and change the samples to a much lower value like 2. I think this is going to change our sprite around the time when we're at the peak of our jump, but we'll see that later. Controller. The animator controller of them isn't there and go under the animator animation. And if we select this transition, we can change when and how we want it to occur. So the first thing that we need here,
given that he only has 1 sprite. But we just fly with it for now. Okay, let's see what we can do. So let's go back to animator and let's remove everything. So apparently that's probably not gonna work. So let's just say that we default to down idle. Right, and then we can go up idle if we press up. And we also can transition to itself. And the condition is just if you're not moving. And direction is equal to 0 or 2. So if I do this, I should be able to move up and down. Oh, I can only move up, not down, actually, because I didn't. Yeah, so that works. But I need a way to move down. Do I need this? Let's remove this. Well, this to be yes, but do I need this condition to be true for you to go back to yourself? Because I don't think we need to. Okay, maybe we do. We also need to change the timing. The duration to 0 is what that people say. Because nobody wants to do that. What is exit time? There's still a lag for some reason. See, I'm not even doing anything and I'm lagging. It's more like when it gets released, that's when it happens. And I think that could be the script. It's causing that problem. Let's see if that's true or not. What we need is the way to debug this while we are playing the game so that we know what's going on. So let's see if I play the game and check this out. So it is immediate. If you look, oh, because it's not going back because if you look at it, there's no way for that to work. Because there's no... Okay, so I think what we should do is it shouldn't really say is moving equals false. I think we should remove this. If you only care about a direction, then that should work. But if only care about a direction, then the moving will no longer care. Uh, it is faster now. It's still not immediate. Which is a problem. See, if you look at this, it doesn't immediately change. Which is really stupid. If I remove exit time. Okay, so now it's more immediate. Okay, so we probably don't even need it. if I think about it, right? It'll just stay there if I don't do anything. We need to remove exit time. Yeah, that works. Okay. So let's drag this back window and let's do this. There needs to be a way to do this better. Okay. Now let's say that we want to walk up. As long as the direction is correct, it will work. So for this, what we want to say is no exit time, and we just want 0 seconds duration. The only thing we want here is if it's removing and the direction is upward. And we also have walk down. There's supposed to be a way to transition to self, but I don't see that setting anywhere, which is really confusing. How do I do this? Okay, let's just start with the simple basics. So that should be the most basic part done. But where is my transition to self? Right. There is no setting that tells me that. But I saw it somewhere in the video. So let's pull that back up. What? Where's the clicking to get that? Oh, I think it's only from any state. That might be the reason why. Yeah, that doesn't exist here. But that probably works if only from any state. Anyway, just try this out for now. It almost works, but something is causing it to not work. And I have a feeling, probably because of this duration and exit time. Let's try it again. It again almost works, but it does not work. So I need you to be back here so I can see what's going on. So right now we're up here. Then we move up. It'll keep moving up, but it won't move back down because my down condition is non-existent. So that means we have to use an exit time. Right? Maybe that's what we need. Now let's see what happens. Okay, we have it kind of working. Problem is when it does it immediately. It doesn't do it immediately. So if I do something like this, it doesn't really work. There's no interruptions either. What is Unity? So if we do that, it might work. No, it's still not. It's not interrupting this at all. If I have to guess, it's because of exit time. Because that's the only thing that's going on right now. Even though I have a 0-second exit time. This is real confusing. And nothing is allowing me to... See, now I can get interrupted. But there's no way for it to go back down. I think what we should do is we should... I think we should do this, right? I think what you do the old-fashioned way, where we just put any state to any state, and then we just control it based on... But that's such a terrible idea, though. You should really stop. Because you can go to any idle. Up or down, right? This is real confusing. I don't think you want to put any state all the time and just have it be guided like that. That doesn't sound right. So we first enter here. If we're facing up direction, we go to up idle, and if we're moving directions up, we move upward, and then we come down only if you're no longer moving. I don't think this will work. Yeah, it did not work. Because if I immediately go down, it will have no way to know. I need like an or statement, but I'll have to do something like this to have it to work. And that will look really stupid. So I think the best way to do this really is just use any state. It makes the most sense. So this is just terrible. But that means that it's getting controlled by what the state is for it to do something. First, let me fix the script. Because right now, it is not facing the right direction. What is our direction? I think our direction is getting initiated in the wrong direction. So where is our state? Direction is right here. This should work, I hope. Take a look. Zero duration. Zero duration. So let's see if this works. Need a transition. Right now we have a problem doing this, and that's it doesn't really play at all. It's really confusing. It's completely static. What if we turn that off? Why does that Why does that work? I don't know, man. Why does that work? So now it's working. This is the most confusing thing I've ever seen. But at least it works. Which means we can do the side idling as well. But however, how do I program that to mirror itself? Now that's going on, it should be able to see it move to the right and transition it correctly. Oh, I mean, it kind of works. What is this? I want to say mirror it. It looks this way, but it's still moving the wrong way. See if I do that. Using mirror animation. This should give us a better idea of how to do this, because this is not correct. Yeah, that's not what I see, bro. That is not what I see. When I click mirror, it did not mirror. Maybe it's this. What? Oh, so it doesn't. If I look at this, if I remove the mirror, you will not mirror, bro. Dude, I'm going to mirror. don't want him here. It's not working, bruh. Like, we can create one for the other side too. That would probably work. And this one will be, I should probably rename it really. But I don't think it's a, oh, here, we can rename it too. I won't rename it now, we'll just leave it like this. And then we want the conditions to be, is moving is true and only if the direction is equal to 3. Moving is false and direction 2, 3. That should at least allow us to move to the left and look pretty normal. Yeah, so that looks pretty normal walking to the left. But it does not look normal walking to the right. Even though I have this mirror parameter and it does not want to do it at all. Oh, Jesus. What do I want to do here? Somebody help me out. Unity mirror animation. I guess you can just flip the animator and it probably works, right? So how do I flip the animator? Game object. We can get the local scale of our object. So if I go to player, when we set direction, we can also set the enemy, this player's transform. So is it how do we get that though? It says object dot, but where is this object? We do this dot transform dot. We could get transform, right? Get component transform. Private transform. And then we should say transform if but that doesn't work here. Dot rotate. Takes a vector. And we can give it, if we want is X. And we don't really care about the other part. I don't know what's gonna happen doing this, so this is gonna be a bad idea. I just want to see what it's flipping on, because it should be flipping on the X axis. So we actually want to flip on the Y axis, so this is the wrong axis, right? No, every time it should just randomly flip. Okay, it is flipping. So that's a good sign. Oops. Now I just need to fix this, right? Instead of doing this, I want to say local scale equals scale. Let's see what it looks like in. So we need a new scale, and we need to say okay. So I want to say is if direction is equal to 1. Then I want to generate new scale. Scale is equal to this, and then we want to say new scale dot x Is it x? Yeah, it's equal to -1. If it's equal to 3, we go -1. And then if direction is equal to 1, then we want to say 1. And then we want transform, right, dot transform dot local scale is equal to, yeah. So in theory, this should work. And we should be completely fine. Alright, so let's see what happens now. Okay, it kind of works. It kind of works, but we just need to change some stuff here. So we can get rid of this now, and we just have one thing. And we can just turn this off because this mirror does not work. What we can say here is if it's moving equals to true. And we can also add another one. What is this? If it's moving is true and directions is equal to 3. Now we have 1 and 3. To be false. So now there's 2 conditions to getting to. Oh, name flips 2. That's not very good. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All I wanted was to mirror the animation, but it didn't freaking work. Alright, so that doesn't work. We get rid of this now. Unfortunate. Alright, so we're running out of time. So we're gonna have to finish this up and try to fix this next time. Probably do more research because this really doesn't make any sense, let's be honest. Like, what is going on here? There's no mirroring, that's the problem. The mirror doesn't work. But we'll figure it out eventually. Anyway, yeah.